I want to talk about historically black colleges and universities. So at the end of the Civil War, historically black colleges and universities, HBCUs, were created to educate the former slave population. And so many have been around the United States for over 100 years. So sometimes people today will say to me, well, John, why would we need HBCUs today? And my response to them is like, well, do we really need BYU? You know, do we really need military academies? And I think people quickly get what I'm saying. You know, if you were raised in Miami, Florida, and you were a Mormon, and then your whole world you were there, and then you went to BYU, and you're like, wow, and you got to have 4 years of college with people that really have the same life experience as you, and then you go out in the world, how powerful that would be for you. Or if you're a kid, you grow up in, I don't know, in Southern California, but you're a real military person, and then you go to West Point, and you're like, have this totally 4 years being around other people that are very passionate about the U.S. military, how that would shape your life. You know, for a lot of people who are black, they may live in a community where they're a minority, but then they go to college and like, wait a minute, they're just really pumped up and surrounded by this great system that's building them up. I've talked to people who are involved with working with colleges and alumni and things like that around the country. What they will tell you is that by and large, the best alumni groups are with HBCUs and the military academies. It's really interesting to watch that if you're a graduate of the Air Force Academy, 20 years later, other Air Force Academy grads cheer you on. The other thing that's interesting is if you graduate from a military academy, the other military academies cheer you on, right? So if you graduated from the Naval Academy and 30 years out, something great happens to you and you bump into somebody that went to West Point, they'll cheer you on. They have a real bond there. The same is true for HBCUs. If you graduate from HBCU and many years later you're doing something great, you'll get congratulated by your alumni base and the alumni base of the other HBCUs. So real cool connectivity there between each other. 80% of the black judges in the United States today attended an HBCU. Now think about that. 80% of the black judges in America today attended an HBCU. 25% of the black lawyers in America today went to one of 6 HBCU law schools. That's a big number too. Florida A&M College of Law, which is in downtown Orlando, creates more lawyers, black lawyers every year than all other state colleges of law combined. So when people start taking a statement like Black Lives Matters and they really want to push that concept, my response to them is like, hey, you know, I hear you. What are you doing to invest in historically black colleges and universities? What are you doing to invest in historically black college and university law schools? Back when Colin Kaepernick first started the whole process of kneeling during the national anthem, people were going crazy about that, really upset. And I posted on LinkedIn this, that if you are for kneeling during the national anthem, write a check to historically black college and university. If you're against kneeling during the national anthem, write a check to historically black college and university. Either way, stop tweeting about it or commenting about it. Actually do something about it. You know, one of the things I've learned in life is people will tell you they love something until you ask them to write a check. And then it turns out they just like it, right? We love things that we choose to sacrifice for. And so if we say as a society that we really love diversity, not like it, love it, we want to see this really get better. Or how about this? We love justice. We look at something that seems unjust and we know, from a statistical way this is an unjust thing. Well, what are we going to do sacrificially in a loving way to make an impact? And I would tell you that we are still in an era where historically black colleges and universities have an ability to make a profound impact on generations in our country, and we need more people that are committed to helping. I did a thing over the last year where I hosted a lunch every single week, one lunch a week, with the dean of the FAMU College of Law, and I invited different leaders, and I did it every single week for a year. So I hosted 50 lunches, including a final dinner and a post-mortem lunch. There was or like to look back at it, we did we did do 52, and I paid for all of them. I was delighted to do it. Here's what's interesting that I found after doing those 52 meetings. We got overwhelming support from the black community about what we were doing. We got very good support from the white Republican community, and we got almost no support from the white Democratic community. And that was very frustrating. And I used to talk about that kind of in a whisper because I didn't want to offend anybody. But then I started saying it louder and louder because I was hoping somebody would hear me and go, hey, John, I'm a white Democrat. I'm ready to write a check. I want to come help. And of course, I would say, let's partner. Let's work together. And I'll put in money too. Let's make an impact. But I think that I come back to that some people were more interested in principles and some people were more interested in power. I would add on top of that, that as I talked to different people, I really found that the vast majority of black leaders I met at a maybe 100% level understood the role and importance of black colleges. Whereas in white, whether they were Democrat or Republican, it was probably 5% understood it. And so it really hit me that there really are some places that we really still need to have some bigger conversations, but we've got to lean in and figure out how to have those conversations in a meaningful way. So that's just another example of something that Crossman Career Builders is all about, which is promoting historically black colleges and how they can partner together to make a better impact.